of Chapter 21 of Veterans for Peace, which is based in northern New Jersey. And Veterans for Peace has focused over the years on Chelsea Manning, and most recently having a major displays at the Pride March in New York City. So we will salute the transgender warrior Chelsea Elizabeth Manning, and I'm going to give just a little background so we kind of have a little feel of who she is. Today she's 28, and well, it's not her birthday, but she's 28 years old. She was born in Oklahoma and grew up in a small town in Oklahoma, and then moved with her mother to Wales in the UK, where she went to high school. Her mother was originally from the UK. And then she moved back to Oklahoma. And in October 2007, like hundreds of working class youth, every single day, she found herself at a recruiting station and enlisted in the U.S. Army. And we know that working class youth join for many reasons. There are no jobs. They want to get out of a difficult situation. Chelsea has said that one of the reasons she joined the military was to take advantage of the GI Bill and go to college afterwards, because she didn't have enough money to go. She went to basic training. After basic training, she trained as an intelligence analyst and received top security clearance. In October 2009, so she's in the Army for 2 years, she deploys to Iraq with the 10th Mountain Division, which is based in upstate New York, Fort Drum, and was stationed at a small operating base called Operating Base Hammer, just outside of Baghdad. And this was in the middle of, you know, I mean, the most difficult times in the U.S.-Iraqi invasion. For the Iraqi people, there was military activity nonstop throughout Iraq at this time, and that's where Chelsea Manning deployed to. As part of her work, she had access to, any hackers here, something called SIPRNet, the Secret Internet Protocol Router Network, and she also had access, as part of her work, to JWICS, the Joint Worldwide Intelligence Communication System. She was appalled at what she saw. I think Renee will go into that. And by January 2010, she began downloading hundreds of thousands of files and documents regarding the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And 1 month later, she began to share what she had downloaded with WikiLeaks. And she also downloaded, and these are real numbers, hundreds of thousands of U.S. State Department cables written over a period of 15 years. They were exposed, everything the State Department really does behind the scenes. I mentioned some of us who were involved in Honduras solidarity work. We thank Chelsea for exposing the communications between Secretary of State and the ambassador in Tegucigalpa and all that. She connected with a hacking community in the New England area in Boston and trusted everybody. She wasn't as schooled in those things as Edward Snowden, who was with the CIA, and someone she trusted and communicated with and shared very personal information with about herself and issues she was facing and how she felt was someone by the name of Adrian Lamo. And Adrian Lamo reported Chelsea to the federal authorities when he found out she had released all these documents, and Adrian Lamo later testified at her trial. We'll deal with him someday. So some of the things she revealed, some of the things that were revealed by the release of the documents. There was an official policy to ignore torture in Iraq. U.S. officials were told to cover up evidence of child abuse by contractors in Afghanistan. Guantanamo prison has held mostly innocent people and low-level operatives. There is an official tally of civilian deaths in Iraq and Afghanistan that's very different from what's reported. Of course, much higher. The State Department backed corporate opposition to a Haitian minimum wage law. Known Egyptian torturers received training from the FBI in Quantico, Virginia. The State Department authorized the theft of the UN Secretary General's DNA. The Japanese and U.S. governments had been warned about the seismic threat at the Fukushima nuclear plant in Japan. And on and on and on. If you want to go to WikiLeaks website, you can take a look for yourself at this historic exposure. So after Adrian Lamo contacted federal authorities, Chelsea was arrested in Iraq and charged with violations of the Uniform Code of Military Justice and the Espionage Act, including aiding the enemy, which can result in a death penalty. These were serious charges. After a few days under arrest in Iraq, she was brought to a prison at Camp Arifjar in Kuwait and held there. I think Renee's going to go into the conditions that she was held under. On July 29th, 2010, she was transferred to the Marine Corps base Quantico in Virginia. Just looking at some of the stuff, there was a whole group, hundreds of legal scholars in the U.S. Signed a petition indicating that her imprisonment violated the U.S. Constitution with regards to the way she was treated. On July 30th, 2013, she was found guilty of espionage and other charges and sentenced to 35 years in jail. She is currently in prison at a hellhole. And we'll do a little correction maybe with the article that appeared. The article referred to the U.S. penitentiary at Leavenworth. That's a penitentiary for civilians, a federal penitentiary. She's in prison at the U.S. Disciplinary Barracks, which is located on the Fort Leavenworth, Kansas Army base. On July 5th, just about a month ago, our sister Chelsea attempted suicide because of the horrendous conditions she's been held under. What can we do? There are various online petitions. I wasn't able to print them out because you can only do them online. There's one addressed to the Secretary of the Army, and that's at freechelsea.com. It calls to drop the charges and give Chelsea immediate access to adequate health care. And as of yesterday, when I looked at it, there were over 30,000 signatures. There is also another online petition at chelseamanning.org addressed to President Obama, urging that President Obama pardon Chelsea. I just saw he recently pardoned over 250 prisoners, and I quickly looked and I didn't see her name. And we can also write to Chelsea, and they make it, this is, well, I prepared a couple of cards, and these are kind of generic. This is not the federal penitentiary. This is a U.S. disciplinary barracks, which is a tight ship, to say the least. For example, when you write Chelsea and you have her name, and then you put her inmate number. If you put a hashtag next to the inmate number, the mail won't get to her.
They send it back.
They send it back. Her address being North Warehouse Road. If you put, instead of North, we usually do when we write N period, it won't get to her. If you don't spell out the state Kansas, instead you do KS, it won't get to her. Don't include any titles such as Ms., Mr., Private, PFC, anything. Do not include U.S. Army, do not include U.S. disciplinary barracks. So, a couple of cards, and usually our cards are a little more in it, even to Mumia, who's in the state penitentiary in Pennsylvania, but these I kind of picked out as neutral as possible, so I'll pass them out. They were already addressed, and our return address is the International Action Center, and I didn't do W 24th Street, I spelled out West. I also spelled out street. I want these cards to get to her. So, thank you so much, comrades, and I'm going to turn it over to Renee.